And I just want to say that when I started this process for myself, I really taught myself how to do this. I knew nothing about email lists. But I did know that because of my background in academia, I knew that there are these people called subject librarians in libraries, covering such things as art and architecture and women's studies and so forth. And so I would just, every night watching TV, I would find about 10 of them. I would email them my cover letter with a link to the website. And, and sometimes some of them would eventually get back to me. Some of them never got back to me. I would call some for feedback. And in terms of getting feedback, I know I digress a lot. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited about this. But
no, there's so much information here on how to do it, and it's great because as I said before earlier, I don't think people realize this is an avenue, especially if you're a first-time filmmaker, that you could go into this arena and make money. When you think of academia, you go, well, it's prestige. But you have, not to sound greedy, but you have to make money so you can make the next film.
Absolutely, and you can support yourself. So I want to finish up and get back to Linda, but the morning that the Stanford University Art History librarian emailed me back instantly and said, oh my God, thank you so much for telling me about your film. Of course we'll buy it. And I began to get responses like that. And so I knew that I had a product worth going forward with. But I just want to say, in terms of making money, you can make money, but you can only make money if you charge the higher prices. And you need to price your film competitively with films that you can research in other distribution on other distribution websites. And your film really must be in the mix. But I just want to go back and pick up what we were speaking about, Linda, in terms of your process.
Well, I liked what you said about testing the market, and I went in with my little toe. I didn't want to spend a lot of money.
No, because a lot of us do not have the lot of money to spend.
I made my initial and big investment was getting the programmer for my website and buying my first mailing list. It wasn't that much money.
How much money did the first list cost?
The
list Richard Dill list
was $125.
That's not bad.
So it was really.
And how much was your website?
About $500, not including my time. But so it was really an initial investment. Well, I just want to say I've made 50% on my investment. I made a real big profit, and it's true. I was sitting at a restaurant in England a few weeks ago, eating my dinner, and I sold a film to Harvard. And then 2 minutes later, I sold one to Northern Illinois University.
Wow.
So it was amazing. I went on vacation, and I, had sent out the list, and it's true. It really piqued people's interest. So I've sold quite a few copies already, and now I'm going for the bigger more expensive mailing list. I just put in an order. So that'll be interesting because that list, the initial list with Richard Dill was librarians. Well, this second list is going right to college professors. And what I found out was the librarians just forward it to professors. Are you interested in this film? Well, now I'll go directly to the professors. The list is more expensive, but I now have the confidence to spend the money and invest in the film.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. You said you made this in 82? So when did you start wanting to distribute? Because it's been on the shelf, for 20?
Well, the film company I made it for owned it, so I had to buy the rights.
Right.
I would get a royalty on it, but not much.
Yeah.
And it was now an older film. But what was interesting is the subject. There is no media on urban studies or landscape architecture. It just doesn't exist. There are books about it. So here I had followed a process of a whole community coming together to build a park, and it was professionally done. So I thought, wow, that could be really interesting for academia.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about further sales.
How long ago was that? I mean, has it just been a few years when you decided to go into the academia, or is it?
No, it's probably been over the last 6 months.
The last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fairly recent then that you sold it. So that sounds great. Is there any other films that have been sitting on the shelf that you now are looking to move into the academia world?
Well, most of the films I made were for professional companies, so I don't own the rights. So that's an issue. But what I do want to do is I have some other ideas now for films that would, in that same genre, to get grants for. And now I feel very confident that I could sell a lot of copies.
How did you get grants? I mean, how are you looking?
How am I looking to get grants?
Yeah, I mean, the process, because it can be quite a daunting process, and if you're new to it, I know going through the information myself, if you can kind of go into that a little bit.
Well, I actually hired somebody to do some research for me. The first thing you need to do in terms of grants is get with a nonprofit organization. So I am applying to a nonprofit to be under their wing. So I then can apply for these grants. There are a lot of grants out there. Like even Bank of America has a community outreach grant. But you have to do it through a nonprofit. So the first step is to get a nonprofit to sponsor you.
Yes.
And that's a process. So I'm in that process now. And then I had hired an expert in grant writing to do research for me, and she gave me probably 10 pages of grants. So it's very encouraging.
Oh, that's great. That's great, because that's a big thing. I wanted to kind of get back, and both of you can talk about. We talked about maybe the cost, the money, because you had sent to me that when you would sell to academia, to these distribution companies, they would keep 40 to 80%.
Yes.
Now with this new way of do it yourself and you coaching and helping, people can retain a lot of the profit for themselves, if not most. So we wanted to kind of talk in the dollar.
Absolutely.
I'm,
a typical campaign for my film is, and I don't want this to scare people off, but just to be honest about the response from this kind of direct mail advertising, I will buy 4,000 names from of my target markets, which are art and women's studies, and that'll cost me about $1,500. And then I will have basically, I think, on my campaigns, I get a 3% click rate. What that means is 3% of 4,000 or 120 people. And this is what a big company can keep track of. But I get a 3% click rate. So 120 people click on my website, click on the email. 2% or 80 people click on the website link. And 1%, I know from my sales figures that 1% or 40 people buy the film. So what does that mean? That means 40 sales over a campaign period of 3 to 4 months. What that comes out to is a gross of $10,000. So here I've spent $1,500 on buying the mailing list, and then I do my own fulfillment, because I feel I'm not going to give 12% to Neoflix or something. If I'm only going over a 3-month period, I'm going to sell 40 DVDs. Why do I have to give anybody money to put the films in envelopes? That's my feeling. I should be able to do that myself. So I have, it's just a question of duplication, and I think in terms of duplication, also, I think part of being out of the Hollywood scene during this period is I found some guy in Glendale, an Armenian guy, really nice guy, and he does the whole duplication with the printing of the cover and the package and the everything for what, Linda, for 100 copies? Huh?
It was $2 a copy.
That's, yeah.
I mean, and here people are getting into this thing of, ordering 5,000 copies and then the warehouse fee of storage and this and that and the other. And I mean, please, people, unless your film has a huge home buyer market, just, this is your way of not of not working in reality TV anymore.
Well, and I think it needs to be emphasized that what we're talking are these specialty markets, these the universities. You're not doing the widespread like the Hollywood or the major studio mentalities. We hit everybody.
Yes.
When you are specialty, you have to focus in on that and not have the same design of the plan that you would if you were in a Hollywood studio.
Now,
keep the costs down. So to go in a little bit, when you coach, do you help set up a marketing plan for the person?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very much what I do, and I call it a DIY platform. And I have various kind of paradigms that I work with people on. The end result for everyone is this platform, which is the correctly, symmetrically targeted website with the knowledge of the email list, which email list to purchase. But I want them to kind of walk into the sunset with that, so that they never have to give me or anyone else a dime for helping them do this. And I have various ways I can work with someone, which is either on an hourly basis coaching, or on a bid, or I'm currently working with a new client, and he wanted me to do the work himself, but because myself, rather than coaching, he doesn't have the time, but because he wants to be in such close collaboration with me, he wanted a special hourly for that, which we negotiated. Since I'm doing the work myself rather than coaching, the hourly is a little different. Now, with perhaps a couple of films, if I see a film that I just think is extraordinary, and I sense in my gut, even without the research, has tremendous potential, I might offer that I would do it for something like 20%, lower than the 40%, you know. But I like to say that I'm not a distributor, so.
You're a coach, yeah, because you really have to have a plan. And as we were saying before the show, things are changing so much with technology.
Well,
you need to be as far as being an entrepreneur with the internet and with like you say, the internet being such a great resource for you when you're starting out, because a lot of the traditional ways of doing it is going to, as like my show, going to leave you left in the dust. You really do have to be within it. And it's like, I think with Linda's story is having a film that is now 28 years old, and just in and thinking, well, gee, it's never going to be able to go anywhere, even the academia world, and to have it come off, because it was at like you say, there's not really a lot of films on that particular urban landscape.
But she never would have known that without having the knowledge of getting into that field in academia. That's the key.